All right, we're live. And what's up, everybody in YouTube land? This is the first ever live episode of Double D Card Talk.
Which I'm sure they've probably all forgotten us or that Double D Card Talk existed.
I think only Victor Negron is the only one that ever brings it up to me.
It's like,
he brings it up once in a while, like, how come you don't do any more of those?
see, you just blame me.
Yeah.
I suck.
So how have you been lately?
Oh, I've been doing well. I mean, unfortunately, just life's been busy lately, and I'm just not. It's weird the way COVID changed kind of my routine, and it's working. You'd think working from home, maybe I would have more time to like chill and just kind of check out videos and stuff, but somehow it seems like I watch less videos in the last couple years, and I don't know what exactly changed that. It just seems like I feel more self-conscious about it during the day, when I'm working from home, that it's like, oh, I can't be like, checking out people's videos or stuff. I've got to really keep my nose to the grindstone so they don't ask me to come back to the office.
Yeah, I've been really busy at work too, and I haven't been watching as much lately either. But I'm still trying to put out content, but instead of 2 or 3 videos a week, I'm down to like one video every 10 days or so, something like that. So
yeah, it's like I go in like a spurt where I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make some videos, and I'll make like 3 1 week, and then I go like 2 months without making anything. So
yeah.
it's like I actually like put together like the start of like a really big long video, just kind of going through the Hall of Fame type collection, and I was like, man, this thing would be so dang long. And I was like, I like put together all the slides, and then I never was lazy and didn't record the audio for it. And it's like, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll break that down into segments, and do like, 10 to 20 years at a time, because it's like nobody's going to sit and watch, an hour and a half of me showing cards, it's like,
Yeah. I did want to do a shout out for a few channels, right? TB's, TTM Autographs, Tony Black, 4 Leaf Cards, Reindeer Studios, and Eddie's Cardboard Chaos. They're doing a giveaway right now. And what they wanted you to do for the giveaway was to make a video with another YouTuber. So this counts.
Well, see, there we go. All right, so we're entered.
We're entered, and even if nobody joins us, it does show that we have 1 watcher. But anyways, whenever I post this video, I will tag them in the description so that they know that we did this, just in case none of them watch it, which is probably likely. But
very possible.
Anyways, one of the things that I've been thinking about lately, and I've been thinking about making a video of it, is as collectors, I feel like we have cards that we think we need that we don't really need, and it's more a part of like, it's somewhat to peer pressure or part of us being like a completist, things like that. Now we all have projects and registries and things like that where we have to pick up cards that we probably don't really like. If you're in a registry or whatever, you probably don't like every single card that is part of the registry. There's probably a couple that you're like, yeah, you maybe even put off buying them and such. Pirates like that.
Team cards in my Roberto Clemente set.
Yeah,
like, those are the worst. I like no interest in those, but they're part of the registry, and it's like I have maybe half a dozen of them, and it's like, and I just can't hardly bring myself to buy them, because it's just like such a pain. And then it's like you need the OPC version, or help you, the Venezuelan version.
What's up, Ray?
No, I just can't bring myself to do it. So it's like those can just stay empty on my registry.
Yeah. Ray, I know Ray from Philly. He just commented. He does a lot of registries, and he does like the Mike Paynes. And I bet you, Ray, there's probably a couple of the cards that you have to pick up for that you really aren't too excited about. I'm sure there's some. Another example, the most recent Twins autograph that I picked up is a Boof Bonzer. I think it was like $2 or $3, something like that. And when Boof played for the Twins, I hated the guy. He was terrible, and I never wanted to pick up his autograph. But I'm trying to get every Twins autograph, so I had to pick it up.
Yep. Yeah, and I know I've done that some with doing my Nebraska collection and the autographs there. It's like I've got a couple autographs that it's like I was excited to get them because I know how rare they are, but I'm like I really don't want to show anybody these because they're like, I mean, I honest to God, I've got 3 cards of people that are autographs of people that are murderers, and it's like, as I've got Lawrence Phillips, who, is allegedly killed his cellmate. And, even if he didn't do that, his crimes were horrific. I've got another guy that was a baseball player that, murder suicide with his wife. And then I've got Thunder Collins, who's was convicted of like a drug deal. And there was an undercover policeman that was shot in a shootout. And, the law was it didn't matter if you were the gunman or not, you're just as on the hook. So, I mean, he's doing a life sentence. And so it's like, I've got like 3 of those cards. It's like, it's not like I want to get out there and like show those off, but I felt compelled to buy them. And I was, actually felt a little bit excited on a couple of them just because it's like, wow, like the Thunder Collins, that guy, the hype when he came from junior college to Nebraska was just out of this world. You had people like playing, Thunderstruck on the radio, on sports talk radio, like every day, just through spring practice before he'd ever taken a snap, just convinced that guy was going to be, the greatest player ever. And it's like, it's like his greatest highlight that he has is the Eric Crouch where he catches the pass against Oklahoma for the touchdown. The initial handoff was to Thunder Collins, and he flips it to the backup quarterback running the reverse who throws it. That's like his biggest highlight in the history of Nebraska's football. His greatest contribution is like he's a bit player in a trick play, not a run or anything, but that's, the way hype goes.
Well, yeah, I do share that with you a little bit with not the murderers and stuff, but like the excitement of getting autographs of these, like nobody knows who this person is. They played 1 game or 2 games, and those are the ones that are fun to track down and fun to find. Luckily, I don't think any of the Twins players were major criminals or anything that, to my knowledge. I know Chuck Knobloch had some problems, and even Kirby Puckett had his problems, but nobody, I don't think, ever went to prison or anything like that.
Yeah. It's like, that's one of the things with that collection is, you spend time and because I go through like old pocket schedules and swag that, the university handed out, and you find, people that are really cool people, went on to become doctors or, researchers in medical fields, and, are, became high school coaches who were really successful. You find all sorts of like some really cool people, and then you come across some weird ones and you're just like, oh man, that's a dark story. What? It's like, and so it's like, oh well, and it's like I make an effort on all of them. It's like, well, it's like I'll see if I can track this person down. And it's like, if they're willing to sign, I'll send them something, just because it's like, well, I've got it. I might as well give it a shot. But
Right.
some of them, it's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. And Aloy, we know who
Eloy.
you're talking about.
Yeah. What's up, LOA? Steve, how you doing? But yeah, I mean, besides that type of stuff, I'm also thinking like, say, oh, you're a vintage collector, but you're not a vintage collector unless you have some T206s or some 33 Gaudis, or you have to have a Willie Mays in your collection or a Mickey Mantle in your collection. It's like, no, you don't have to. I thought that way for a while, and I had a couple Willie Mays cards and some Hank Aaron's, and then I'm an autograph guy, so I was like, I'd rather have an autograph of Hank Aaron or an autograph of Willie Mays. I can sell these vintage cards and buy an autograph that maybe not on a vintage. I probably can't afford a playing days autograph, but something like that I'd rather have than just a card, because that was something that Willie Mays or Hank Aaron held in their hand and wrote on. Another card that comes to mind when I think about this, that a lot of people think is like a must-have for baseball collectors, especially collectors of our age or who collected in the 80s and early 90s, is the Billy Ripken error card. I know like a ton of people like, oh, I have to get that card, and I just don't see the, like, I'm never going to buy that card because I don't think it's worth what people pay for it, and I don't have any connection with it at all.
Yeah, and see, I like that one just because, when I was 11 when that one came out, and so at the time I was like, oh, that's hilarious. I searched awful hard to try and get one before I realized that, oh, I was never gonna get one. So but yeah, that's so for me, that's one that's like, yeah, I would sure like to have it if I came across it, but I'm not willing to go out and pay what the value is, the market value is for it at all.
Right. And the 89 Upper Deck Griffey, that's another one that's huge. And I know when I was a kid, I knew about but didn't know how rare it was. I always was looking for the Frank Thomas with no name on front card.
Yeah, I opened up my sealed 1990 top set my folks bought me for Christmas, hoping against hope somehow that would be one, not knowing that, no, they were only in this one small area.
Yeah, and like vending cases or something like that, vending boxes. Yeah, the Bo Breaker card where Bo's breaking the bat over his knee was a big one for me. But I just you kind of liken this, what I'm talking about, to like I'm a record collector. I collect vinyl records, and a lot of people collect vinyl records nowadays. But it would be like me buying a record just for its collectability and buying a record of a music that I don't care about, or a record that I'd probably never play. I wouldn't do that. So that's kind of the way I collect too, is like, and I bought, like I said, I got the Booth Bonzer, and I bought Kirby cards that I just, I'm not overly fond of for whatever odd reason, if they're ugly or whatever. But, I just feel like there's a lot of peer pressure on collectors to buy cards that they maybe should think about other cards that they would rather have.
Yeah. And if you're in collecting anymore, it's the rookie card has just become the end all be all. And, especially, on the vintage side to some degree, it's like, that's what you've got to have. And for the most part, I'm kind of, well, pass, it's like, there's better cards of lots of players than their rookie card. Like Ricky Henderson, 80 tops. It's like there's nothing special about that image. And there's like a dozen cards that, images of him stealing bases and sliding that, I find a lot more aesthetically pleasing that, I'd much rather look at than his 80 tops rookie card. But that one's worth, twice what anything else is worth or more. Yeah.
Even when you think about modern players, and it's like they print so many rookie cards, and each set has a rookie card and a subset and parallels and inserts and stuff, and it's like, this guy so and so probably has 5 times as many cards his rookie season as he does his second year or third year, but all the hype is around the rookie card. Or I think even you brought this up one time, is like, a Mitchell Trubisky rookie should not be worth more than the Tom Brady card from the same set. It doesn't even make sense, but that's the way it is.
Why is that more valuable? And I get it. In the moment we get overexcited and we hype some of these up, but it's like 3 years later, and we've kind of moved on from the guy. That rookie card probably still, the book value on it is probably still more than the base Brady. Right. I mean, and it's like, why is that still the case now? Just because, well, we like that logo. And football, you don't even get the rookie logo. At least baseball, we've got this special logo to, give us a chub.
And another card that I guess I should bring up that neither of us are ever going to own, I don't think, and that's the 52 tops mantle. And
I mean, that's just a flex. I mean,
it's been talked about to death about how, it's kind of, a lot of people have said it is an overrated card. It's way overvalued. You can argue Willie Mays was a better player than Mickey Mantle. It's not a rookie card. I would say just look at the set itself. The Mickey Mantle rookie card is a cool looking card. It is iconic. It's a pretty picture. But like if you look at some of the other like 1952 tops cards, it's kind of an ugly design. And I know that's sort of slanderous to say, that's a big taboo to say that the 52 top set is ugly. But I mean, if that exact design came out in 1954 or 55, it wouldn't be as highly thought of as it is now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could certainly make a case, 52 is not as beautiful of a set as 53. I'd say 53 is every bit a better design set. Depending on how you feel about horizontals, 55 and 56. I was never crazy about 54, and 57's, is a great set. I kind of felt like 58 and 59 especially, it was like they kind of went backwards a little bit there. But by 60, you were into full color images and that, and it's always been one of those things to me. It's like, the 52 card, people, really like that, but why not the 61 or 62? Because those were, or 56, where he was the Triple Crown winner. I've always been a little bit surprised that we don't put much importance on the cards from the players' biggest seasons. And it's, that's just not something that gets associated with it. If it happens, it's only because of chance that that particular set becomes, popular, or, it happens to be a short print or something, but organically it doesn't occur just based on that. Nobody cares, if 69 Tom Seaver, was like his best season, and nobody wants the 69 any more than any other non-rookie year.
Right.
It's at least not based on performance.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Mickey Mantle in general, I have tough time fathoming the value that baseball card collectors place on his cards. And he was a great player, but there was players that were better than him. They didn't play for the Yankees, and I guess that has a lot to do with it. But
yeah, I think that definitely has a good portion, because it's like, for a lot of kids growing up, that was their favorite team, and you're going to be attracted to the best players on their team. And so most popular player on the most popular team, it just gets out so sized like that. So
right.
just the way it is. And, ranking, Mantle to Musial or Mays, it doesn't really matter, who's better. I mean, the Yankees were just bigger, and I mean, Musial, it's like St. Louis versus New York. You're never going to win that one. So
Right.
it's like Albert Pujols was, even as big as Pujols was never as big as Mike Piazza. I mean, Piazza was probably still bigger than Pujols, even when he's MVP multiple times over.
Right. So another thing I have written in my notes is Grail cards, and I hope collectors, when they think about Grail cards, they think about cards that they like, and not cards that they're supposed to have, and not cards that are just valuable or just rare, or one or the other or both. Because I don't know, like for my Kirby, one of my Grail cards is a 96 Bowman's Best Atomic Refractor. And out of all the playing days cards that I need to pick up, that one's up there, because I don't have a whole ton left that I need to pick up. But for instance, his 1983 Visalia Oaks minor league card is pretty big, and I don't own that yet. Mm-hmm. And I've many times been able to afford it and not wanted to pick it up, because I don't think it's that special. I don't think it's that rare. And as a matter of fact, I got a little story to tell about that card. So right before I went to the National, I reached out to a Puckett collector, and I heard that there's fakes of this card. It's made by the Larry Frisch company.
Okay.
They're still in business today.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, is there any way to tell a fake? Because I think they're slightly narrower than a standard card and slightly taller. And the card stock is pretty cheap. The image is kind of blurry. So it's like, well, how do you tell a fake one from a real one if the image is already blurry and it's already, a cheaply made card? And he said, why bother? Just go on to Larry Frisch's website and buy one. And I thought, what? And I went on to his website, and there was an uncut sheet there. He was selling uncut sheets of the team set. And I'm trying to remember, it was like $175, which is way cheaper than you can buy the card on eBay by itself. But I really didn't want an uncut sheet. I know, in some ways an uncut sheet's cooler, but I wanted the card I didn't have really any place to display an uncut sheet. So I reached out to the guy and said, "Hey, do you have any of the uncut versions?" And he says, "Oh yeah, well, I'll put them up on the site." So a little while later, I go back, and now the uncut sheets are now $375, and the complete sets are 300, I think, or somewhere around there. And I just thought to myself, well, Jesus Christ, if they have all these uncut sheets and all these complete sets, it means one of two things or both. One, it's not rare at all. If this is from 1983 and they still got complete sets, the company that made them,
Mm-hmm.
or two, they're still making them. And just, that, how would you tell? Because if they're using the same paper stock and the same printing press and all the same stuff that they used in 1983, there's no way to tell when it was made if they're still printing them today. Yeah. So I won't buy one unless I come across one for, super cheap. I would like to get one, but it's not near the top of I don't consider it a holy grail card.
Yeah. And, the discussion of grail cards, that's always been something that I've struggled to even come up with a good answer for that a lot of times, because to me, if you ask somebody, what's a grail card for you, and the only thing separating me from obtaining that card is just having enough in my PayPal account to scratch that check, it doesn't feel like that's a grail card. I mean, because grail, it implies a quest to me, and it should be there should be a struggle and a voyage in that to find it. It shouldn't be something right. that's readily available. Anytime I have the funds available, I can buy it. And like the 52 Mantle is a perfect example that if I want one and have the funds, I can buy it today, right now. And it's, for me, it's like there should be, a degree of difficulty. And I struggle to come up with like just one particular card that I can say, oh yeah, that's what it is, because there isn't one particular card that I'm out there searching for. That I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I want, and I would travel the ends of the earth and show up at the National, going table to table, asking, have you seen this? And have, 4 people be like, one time I saw one many years ago, but it's been years. I mean, when you talk about a grail card and use that term, to me, that's kind of what you should be talking about, is something that's just not out there for anybody to find. It should be a struggle, but that's not really how the majority of people think of it. And I think most people are just like, they want it to be obtainable. And to me, it's like a grail card automatically should be, it should be really questionable whether you could ever obtain it, and not just because I don't have that much in the bank account.
Right. What's up, Four Leaf and Reindeer? We did shout you out earlier on in the video. I don't know if you're still on here, but I agree with you. I know some of the, when I do the featured super collector, that's one of the questions is, what's your holy grail card? And I think for a lot of the modern collectors, it is a rarer 90s insert, or maybe even a 101 or a 1 out of 20 or something like that. So some people do get it, and with autographs, there's plenty of guys out there too. Like, I maybe can find a I maybe can find a Jack Kralik autograph, but can I find it on the card that I want? And that's been a challenge for me with as being this Twins autograph collector. Is, you know, there's a certain card that I'd love to have the autograph on. Maybe I found it one time, but the autograph looked like shit or whatever. And so there's a lot of guys that I could name off about for that. One guy in particular was Herman Hill, his name was, and he played for the Twins, I think, parts of 2 seasons, and he drowned in the Caribbean Ocean at age like 24 or something like that. And he was, like a $190 career hitter. And I've kind of resigned myself to the fact that I'm never going to have his autograph. I've seen 2 of them, and one of them was on like a program that had like Harmon Killebrew and Billy Martin and a bunch of other guys on it. And then I seen it once on like an 8x10 photo. I think he has a couple Topps cards. He has like a shared rookie card with somebody else. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, he's one that I don't know. I don't really necessarily consider him a Grail card, but he's just one that I kind of resigned myself to. I'll probably never add it because when I see his autograph, am I going to be willing to pay $800 for a $190 career hitter who, only played for parts of 2 seasons? Probably not.
Yeah. And I mean, I've got weird ones like that, with the Nebraska collection, because I try to like create little lists of things to like try and find things of. And for a while it was like consensus All-Americans in football. And I've got, a good portion of those, but there's like one guy who didn't play in the NFL, but, was an All-American lineman, and he worked for the State Department. He was actually killed in a terrorist attack in Southeast Asia, or in pre 9/11. And, that's one that's like, well, I'll never come across that one. And like baseball All-Americans, there's, in basketball All-Americans, there's guys that didn't make, the majors that, they were an All-American in college, but never got past A-ball. And this was 50, 60 years ago. You can't really even find anything for those players. It's like, or guys that didn't make the NBA, but may have been an All-American basketball player just because it was weird that way sometimes in the in 40s and 50s and stuff. So you've got guys that, never became really anything from a professional standpoint. And it's like, well, I'd like to have this for completion's sake, but it's like, I don't even know where to begin to look for it because they're so obscure in who these players are, that it's like, just trying to do an eBay search with their names, not even likely to come up with anything. And they aren't even in like trading card database or anything like that because there was nothing ever made for them. It's just, there's a lot of those weird things. And it's like, those, the pursuit of those things, far surpasses anything that's like, mainstream, and things that I paid, hundreds of dollars for at times. It's like, well, it as far as rarity goes, it's nowhere near as unusual or as exotic, but
Right.
There's a lot of that stuff. It's like, well, I won't even bother really to show it because it takes way longer to explain who this person is than anyone has interest in watching. It's like
Everybody tunes out.
after 6 seconds, they're gone. It's like I can't even explain who this person was. It's like other times it's like, hey, it's like, hey, I spent like $400 on this card. You know, if I lead with that, maybe I can get their attention for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Another thing that I thought of too is and I think I've talked to you about this actually is the 1990 Donruss Aqueous test
Yeah.
cards. And I've read a lot on them, and the estimates of how many sets there is all over the place. Like I've heard anywhere from like 18 to 40-ish, you know. So there's not a lot, no matter by anybody's estimate, and they don't even know how many there is. And they're only like a certain chunk of the set. But it's like, and I've come across Kirby's and other players, and it's like, man, I just can't bring myself to spend $250 on an ugly ass 1990 Donruss card. You know, it's like, am I going to display it backwards or what am I going to do if I get one?
Yeah. Well,
so it almost like the only way I'd ever buy one is if somebody had one and didn't know what they had, you know?
Yeah. It's like, oh, then I got to deal with that on my conscience.
Right.
But yeah, that's tough. And I've been of a different mind on some of that. For a long time, I was like, things that weren't released as cards, that were like test issues and things that, you know, came out of the back door of some company. I was like, I don't really care much about that type of stuff. Because to me, it's like it didn't like survive out in the wild so much, because it basically, you know, got stolen out the back door and immediately kind of put in a collection of some sort, or it sat, you know, kind of in some executive or some artist person who worked for the company sat, you know, basically in their desk, in their closet, you know, for 25 years, until all of a sudden they decided, hey, maybe I can get some money out of this. And then suddenly it's released. I've gotten to the point now where I can kind of appreciate some of that stuff for what it is more. But part of me still, it's like, well, there's no story behind that of, man, I pulled this out of a pack, you know, and this was taped on my dresser mirror for, you know, 6 years, you know, from the time I was 13 to 19, and I went to college and came back and all my cards were gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the things that have that type of a story to me, you know, have always, you know, been more appealing for what I would want to pursue. But never trust an artist person. There you go, Rainier Studios. No, and it's nothing against who obviously, you know, super talented guy there. But no, it's just things that you know, your work, your pre-work and your drafts, you know, just aren't necessarily as appealing to me. It's like I don't know. It's if I could have, you know, the actual book that, you know, the author wrote, as opposed to, hey, this draft that they kind of started, and then, you know, it's like, well, I guess maybe for some people that's more significant and more appealing to them. But me, it's like, well, I'd rather actually, you know, read the finished book than own the draft.
So another card I have a story about, this, I showed this on my channel a lot of times. This is the 96 Leaf Signature Series Kirby. This was my 1000th pucket. For a while, I think people probably were tired of seeing this on my channel, but this is a very popular set with set collectors.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to put it together, and there's different tiers too. Like I think there's some blue ink Kirby's that are rarer and stuff. And one of the most expensive cards in the set is going to probably surprise you. It is Otis Nixon. So what happened was Otis Nixon, Leaf sent him the cards to sign, and he never sent them back. And so they released the set without him. And then I believe many years later, they found somebody found a box of signed Otis Nixon cards in like a storage container. and so I don't know where they all went to, but it's really hard to find them. They do exist; they're out there, but yeah, that's kind of an interesting story about one of those backdoor type of deals, but not really a backdoor deal because they sent the cards to him. He signed them, but he just never sent them back.
Yeah, but nobody ever pulled that from their pack. There was never like what I would call like a legitimate channel to obtain that, as designed through the company.
Yeah, some of the Kirby Facebook groups that I'm in, some of the things that they show on there are just insane. Like my collection is like trash compared to most of them. They have like all these promo cards, and this was only given to 5 dealers in the Midwest, and this is all that type of samples and promos and backdoor stuff, and it's just crazy. Some of the collections I see on there, or they have also stuff that like wasn't rare at the time, like McDonald's menus and stuff that have Kirby Puckett's face on them, and all kinds of advertise. Like every day somebody posts some advertisements that they're like, hey, some of them I even remember seeing, but at the time, who would have thought? Well, I wasn't gonna ask that store if I can have that poster that they have hanging in the window,
Yeah, or even if it's like the paper placemat or something like that.
Right.
It's like the challenge of keeping that and preserving it in good condition, for 30 years is pretty difficult. So it's those are the things that when you kind of come across them, it's like, I know it's not valuable, but I'm always a little bit, it's like tip of the cap that you managed to keep that if like original owner or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you are definitely, a better steward of your collection and stuff than I was when I was young. So
yeah, there's stuff too, like there was a Kirby Puckett candy bar, and they'll pop up on eBay once in a while, and it's like, well, I don't know if I would want the wrapper. I'd almost want the actual candy bar. But whenever I see him, it always happens to be like the middle of June or something, and it's like, well, no, I don't want it mailed to my house and sit in my mailbox while I'm at work and come home to a melted candy bar.
Yeah, it's like, can you vacuum seal that thing or something?
Put some dry ice in the package or something. Yeah, I've seen recently. I discovered too there was a Kirby Puckett pancake batter, and it came in like a little burlap pouch. You can find those burlap pouches empty sometimes on eBay, and they had like some of them had blue ink on them, some of them had red ink. But I just seen the other day somebody posted a picture on that Kirby group, and they had a full unopened box of every variation, bag of every variation of it, and it's just some of the things. It's really cool, but you wouldn't want to spend a lot of money on it, but they're neat items to have in your collection, I think.
Yeah, and I struggle sometimes. It's like, just how into the minutia do I want to get sometimes with variations? And I know you do it with the super collectors. It's like there's 8 variations of Donruss backs for like a 5-year stretch where it's like they were just they didn't bother to worry about whether the printing presses were synced up as far as whether there was a period behind every abbreviation or not. And so it's, 8 different variations that it's like some of them you got to bring out your microscope and look at it, because I'm old and I can't see that well to figure out which variation this is. And it's like, it's for the most part, it's like I'm pretty minimalist on some of that. It's just I'm not willing to chase it that far. And even sometimes with well established stuff, like in my Clemente collection, I've got the 56 tops. I've got the gray back, which is slightly more rare than the white back, but I'm just not really willing to spend the money to have another copy of the card. To me,
Right.
It's like it just doesn't feel that different or significant that I really want to pursue it.
And I agree with you, kind of. Like I do look for those different variations. I don't look for them. I don't hunt them out, but I'll go through and look at all my stack of 1987 tops or Donruss or whatever, and look and see if there's any variations. In a way, it's probably is sort of like a cop out, like I'm just trying to add to my numbers type of thing. But I don't know. It's kind of fun knowing that there's all those little differentiations, and I know Topps and Bowman have some that the backs glow, and there's all kinds of crazy variations, or maybe a Stadium Club card set. One print run says D and one print run says B, and it's almost like coin collectors and how each coin has the mint it came from and all that. And so it's kind of fun to look for that stuff, but it's not something that I do once in a while come across on eBay. Somebody will put 1989 Donruss, no period error, and then they want $100 for the card.
It's like, well, it's only difficult to find because nobody wants to look at back images on that many eBay listings.
Right. Right.
But yeah, and we mentioned the super collectors, those counts, and that's another thing. It's like we're really good as collectors at finding ways to kind of create pressure for ourselves, because nobody, for the most part, is trying to tell you, hey, you've got to have this for the most part, and you've got to have just as big a collection as I do, or you're not as big a fan. But yet we kind of, in our own heads, we get convinced of that really easy. And it's so easy sometimes to just say, oh, it's like I've got to have more Kerry Wood stuff because just because I need to have a count in the super collectors that's in the thousands or something. Why? I don't know, but because I need that? No, I don't. And I don't even necessarily really want that at times, but every now and then I find myself, it's like, oh, well, I'm just going to like buy stuff, I don't know, just so I can say, yeah, I added to this count.
Right.
It's like that. I'm like, why was I doing that? Other than to make myself feel like I'm keeping up with people that aren't actually trying to compete with me. So why am I doing that to myself?
Yeah, whenever I started the group and started the big board, it's like that was one thing that I was kind of worried. I'm like, is this going to cause like any problems? And is it going to be controversial? Are people going to be competing against each other? And I wanted there to be maybe friendly competition, or at least inspiration, I guess, more than that. And I think that for the most part, it's been positive, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I have had people reach out to me privately and say, can you please take my name off the list? I'm going to keep collecting this person and I want to stay in the group, but I don't want my count up there for whatever odd reason.
Yeah.
I've had a couple, 2 or 3 people ask me that. But yeah, for the most part, I think the person that you're competing with is usually just your own head. And I think it's been a pretty positive, friendly impact on the community, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's, we've certainly gone around. It's like, hey, who counts what? And it seems like at least once a week, somebody's like, hey, what do you think? Should I count this? Should I not count this? And it's like, we always end up giving the same answer. It's like, if you feel like it deserves to be counted, count it. And
right.
If you don't. And
right.
It's like, there's certainly stuff that it's like, well, no, I just can't count that. Serial numbered cards that are, in the same thing. I can't count,
right.
count that. It's, is a unique thing. And it's, and for the most part, it's like, if it's not a recognized variation, it's like, I'm just not willing to count it, even though it's like I found something that's unique about it. It's like, or things that say, oh, well, I've got like the complete panel, and then I've got, the cutout of just my player. It's like, that's fine, but I can't count those either. It's like, at least not for me. If you want to count them, go right ahead. But
it's not like I go to everybody's house and like have an official rule book and count them. And it's as far as I know, there could be people are totally
catfishing us, and they've just got images that.
I mean, I doubt that, but you never know.
No.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. It's not too important. What's up, Eddie, Stuke? How you guys doing? We have kind of been ignoring the comment section just because we've been yakking away about all kinds of stuff. But
yeah, anything you guys want us to talk about, we'll pretend we know something about it.
Right. If anybody else has anything to bring up.
It's like, talk about new baseball rules. Is that topic worn out yet? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I know the it hasn't helped the Twins hitting, so. Duke loves hearing about Kirby.
Debate women's Final Four basketball. I'm sure that's. Like, that was the thing. I was like, man, we're really arguing about this.
Oh yeah, that whole deal with the Iowa, LSU girl, yeah. There's all kinds of fun, stupid crap that people argue about all day long on Facebook, and
I listen to sports talk radio every day, going and dropping my kids off to school, and it's gotten to the point now that I don't listen to it all day, every day like I used to. And now that I separate myself from it more, it's like, I'm like, man, how did I even find time to care about some of these things that they will spend all day discussing? It's like whether Draymond Green should have been suspended or not. And I'm like, man, it's like,
when I was a younger man, I mean,
but beyond that, I'm done.
When I was a younger man, I think pretty much all I watched was SportsCenter and ESPN, and I haven't watched SportsCenter in probably
I haven't either.
10 years maybe, or and even once in a while, like I don't think I've gotten ESPN. I don't think I have ESPN, but like I'll be in like a hotel room for work or something, and I'll turn on ESPN, and it's two things. It's either guys arguing, about
Mhm.
stupid shit that I don't care about, or it's betting, and betting is a huge thing,
Oh,
and I don't gamble, and I don't even understand the over unders completely and all that type of stuff. So there's no really
I
reason for me to watch ESPN anymore.
I went through my own degenerate gambling phase in my 20s, and it's like, no, I'm just be done with that. It's like too smart, and it's like it, none of that's really that much fun to me anymore. It's like I'll get into a pool or whatever, where it's just luck of the draw or anything, but Super Bowl squares or something like that. Or I haven't even filled out a bracket in the last several years just because I've been too busy, and it's like my kids fill them out, and so it's like, oh, if I filled it
Right.
out, then I'd have to deal with my 15-year-old. He's like bound and determined to make everything a competition in his life. So it's
Yeah.
it's like,
I used to do those March Madness brackets too, and it's like I don't even know why you do one. It's because 15 years ago you won and won some money, so you think you're gonna keep doing it forever, and it's like I just keep doing worse and worse every
honestly, I
time.
think a lot of times we do it just to be part of the conversation. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's funny.
it's like other people are doing it, and you don't want to be like the guy in the conversation that's not included. So it's like we just keep filling it out just so we can be part of the it's like the break room conversation. Now that I work from home, it's like I don't have those anymore. So it's one of the drawbacks. It's like 90% of working from home I love. It's like I don't have to deal with any office drama anymore at all. But I do miss sometimes. It's like, hey, you get to have the conversation where you talk with somebody. It's like, how are your kids doing, and what are you up to? You get those conversations. You never really get those in working from home very well, because the only time you talk to people that you don't see in your regular life is in an email or like on a meeting, and everything becomes kind of driven work, and the 5-6 minutes that you would take, like, hey, if you were in a meeting with somebody in person, to just sit and talk for a couple of minutes before you went on with your day. For some reason, it's like now we don't take time for that anymore, and that's just my observation that nobody cares about on non-sports related topics.
Well, well, anytime you're at home working and you feel left out of the conversation or you're
Mhm.
bored, you can just text me and ask me how my kids and stuff are doing,
Oh
and
yeah, that's
I'd be
true.
glad to talk to you. But anyways, we've been on here for an hour.
No,
It's
you
crazy.
said
I
we
didn't think
was
we were
like,
gonna.
hey, you want to go on for like 30 minutes? It's like, hey, yeah.
Yeah,
No, we didn't even. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what our topics were. We just been BSing. So
yeah. Which is kind of what I expected.
yeah,
Um, so I guess if there's anything else you want to bring up before we shut her down, I guess we can shut her down pretty soon.
yeah. Let's see. Anybody who wants to hear something, speak now. Is there anybody still watching us? I don't even know.
That shows there's 4 watchers.
Oh well, like 300% more than I would have expected.
I don't think I think we maybe peaked at like 8 at one point for a couple 30 seconds or so. We didn't get too many watchers.
Randy's
Ranger's
still
still
here.
here. Yeah.
He's a sadist. It's like, he's trying to get himself to go to sleep, so he just put him on. So,
I think he just wants to make fun of my Minnesota accent again.
could be
That could be, yeah.
because
Because I love you, it says.
well, he's talking to you there, not me.
Yeah. I am his best friend. Well, anyways, I guess it was good talking with you and
Good talking
catching
to
up.
you. We haven't done it enough. I tell you what.
Yeah, I think we should do it again. Maybe do it at once a month or so. Do a live Double D bullshit session.
I'm down anytime.
And I think maybe in the future, maybe we should show more cards, maybe or something.
Yeah, we didn't show a single card, so hey,
I showed two
one.
cards.
Oh, you did. That's right. I didn't show any card. So this is like most recent purchase, 1952 Num Num potato chips of Al Lopez, even with the tap. So I actually bought a lot of 3 of these just for this one because Hall of Famer, and I'm sending off the other 2 players to somebody in our group, and I got some Orioles regional stuff that I got them packaged in these dang envelopes. I got to go to the post office because I told the one guy in our super collectors group I was going to send those off over a week ago, and it's still sitting here. But it's been in the envelope ready to go.
Yeah, I don't have really anything around. I got some cards here, but I don't know if there's anything I really need to show. I did purchase a big card yesterday, which I already showed Dustin.
Yeah,
I showed Reindeer. So hopefully that comes here Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, and I could show it off on all my social media. But that was a pretty big one that I really didn't expect to buy, but just did. And luckily I had some funds in PayPal that covered almost the entirety of it. So I only had to take a little bit out of my checking account.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big one for me in my collection. I'll show it to you soon. But
yeah, that was a nice one. I did not something I normally would have expected you to buy when you showed, because I saw like the text. It's like I made a big purchase, and it's like it says you've shared an image, and I had to go in to actually see the image, and I was like, well, I didn't expect that card from him.
Yeah,
but it's like that's certainly cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk to you guys soon. And maybe we'll come up with me and Dustin will talk about doing this regularly. And hopefully if we start to do it regularly, we can get more than 5-6 people at a time to listen to us. I don't know if we just do bullshit sessions or if we need to have more of an agenda or what, but
I don't know that I can handle, planning anything more than just a bullshit session. It's like, I don't have that in me. It's like, I can't do an agenda.
That's why we don't do our Double D card talks as much because we don't.
No, we had to plan too much.
Yeah, it was too much work. We're lazy.
We had like 6 different ideas of shows we were going to do, and then we never did them. So,
yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye.